Hello and welcome to Cloud Automation Guide, where we simplify DevOps, cloud, and automation for everyone. In this video, we're walking through two foundational steps in VMware Aria Automation, creating cloud accounts and defining cloud zones. These are critical setup tasks that allow Aria Automation to connect your infrastructure to backend resources and assign those resources for deployment. Let's get started. For the first step, we're going to create a cloud account. To do so, once you've logged into your Aria Automation environment, you're going to click on the Assembler tile. Within Assembler, you're going to click on the Infrastructure tab, and then you're going to go down to Cloud Accounts. You see here that in my environment, I currently have 3 cloud accounts, one for AWS, one for NSX version 4.x, and one for vCenter. To create a new cloud account, we're going to add a cloud account, and then in here, you see all of the different types of cloud accounts for which you can create. You have your public cloud, NSXT manager, which is NSX called NSX4X and later. NSXV, this is here for backwards compatibility, although that's version 3X of NSX and earlier. On-premises vCenter server, VMware AVI load balancer, VMware Cloud Director, VMware Cloud Foundation for automating your SDDC on-prem, and VMware Cloud on AWS. For this demo, we're going to just stick with vCenter Server. So all you have to do here, not very much, as you can see from the screen. First, we're going to give it a name. Possibly give it a description if you want. Give it an IP address or FQDN of your vCenter server. Provide the username, provide the password, and click Validate. Once it is validated successfully, Aria Automation is going to do a quick inventory scan of the vCenter environment, and it's going to ask you which of your data centers do you want to enable for provisioning workloads to. In my case, I only have one data center, so I'm going to go ahead and click that. I do have the option for it to automatically create a cloud zone for me. I'm going to uncheck this so that way I can show you where to go and how to actually create it. If you are integrating your cloud templates that are going to provision against this endpoint to leverage NSX constructs, and you have NSX endpoint already configured, as you saw I do, you can just check the box and you can add it, and so you associate it with this cloud account. You have the capability or the ability here to actually add capability tags, so that way you can use constraint tags within your cloud templates to make sure that there are provisionings happening towards this cloud account. In other words, that this cloud account gets used for deploying virtual machines. So if you had multiple vCenter cloud accounts and you wanted to say like one for the East Coast and one for the West Coast, you could say in this cloud template, these VMs are going to go to the East Coast, or you got a dev, test, dev, and prod, you could say, I want this cloud template to be for my dev, and this is my dev vCenter. So you could do a constraint tag on the cloud template and a capability tag here, and then the resources that you deploy from that cloud template would go towards this cloud account. There are other places where you configure such capability tags, and I'm going to show you those also later in this video. So if I click add here, it's actually going to fail because I already have a vCenter cloud account with this name. So we're going to click cancel, and then I'm going to show you the contents of the one that already exists to show you a couple more things. What I want to show you is these 3 pieces at top. Once you've created your cloud account, by default, you're going to see, this is kind of a status, right? If it's green, it's good. If it's red, it's bad. So data collection, by default, Aria Automation will perform data collection on all of its cloud accounts automatically once every 10 minutes. There is no way to manually initiate this, so if you make changes in the backend infrastructure, you're going to have to wait for the 10-minute window to expire before it runs its next inventory update. You can manually synchronize images. So if you create a new VMware template or virtual machine template within your vCenter in this environment, you can come here and say manually sync images. Otherwise, if you do not do that, image synchronization happens automatically once every 24 hours. If you do perform a sync, you are not able to sync images until 10 minutes have expired. The last one is to check to see if your vCenter is available for deployment. If something has happened to your vCenter, services have gone online, the vCenter server went down, for whatever reason, Aria Automation can no longer communicate with vCenter, this will turn red. However, once you have resolved that issue, you then can come back here and click Update. It will then go out, make a connection to vCenter, make sure it can connect, and if it can, it'll turn green. Otherwise, the status will automatically be verified every 10 minutes. And with that, that is how you create a cloud account for vCenter. Next, we're going to move over to our cloud zones. So while cloud accounts connect Aria Automation to, in this case, a vSphere environment or a vCenter server, just like AWS and NSXT, that doesn't really tell Aria Automation what components within that vCenter are able to be used for deployment. That's where cloud zones come into play. So to create a cloud zone, we come to cloud zones and we click new. First thing we have to do is select the region or cloud account from which we want to allocate resources or to make resources available. So since we're doing vCenter, we're going to check our vCenter cloud account. We're going to give this a name, a description if we want to, and then we're going to choose a placement policy. For details on the placement policy, just click the I and it'll tell you what it means. We're going to leave default for now. For the folder, we have the option on the Cloud Zone level to specify which VM folder in vCenter all VMs that are deployed to this Cloud Zone will go into. You can also do this on projects with custom properties as well as within cloud templates for custom properties, unless there's a really good reason to do it at the Cloud Zone level for whatever reason. Um, this typically gets left blank. What I can think of a use case for this is if you had multiple clusters in vCenter, one for like a dev environment, test environment, prod environment, and you wanted to create a separate cloud zone for each one of them, maybe because each one of those compute clusters would have a different placement policy being assigned to it, then you may want to have a folder in vCenter, one for dev, one for test, one for prod, and then have all of the virtual machines deployed for that cloud zone going into there. There are other ways you could do it. You could either do it at the project level using a custom property, or you could do it on a cloud template, which would probably be a better place for it to specify where the virtual machines are being deployed. And then you can set the value of that custom property based on like a user input. If you were to say, make the cloud template available to the user and then ask the user which environment is this virtual machine being deployed for, dev, test, or prod. And then you could map that to the actual custom property on the virtual machine, which would then correspond to the virtual machine folder in vCenter. But if you wanted to, the option is here. Just like we had the ability on cloud accounts to create capability tags to specify what this cloud zone is capable of, if you wanted to use that on your cloud templates as constraint tags to make sure that virtual machines got deployed to the resources in this cloud zone, for example, dev, test, and prod, you can do that here as well. So once you've created and populated these fields here, you then move on to compute. This is where we select which compute resources in the vCenter environment are going to be eligible for consumption by Aria Automation for the deployment of virtual machines. By default, Aria will include all unassigned compute. That means any compute resource that does not already being consumed, any compute resource in the cloud account we've selected that is not already consumed by another resource or another cloud zone rather. So to show you that, for instance, I have this zone here, this vCenter one, and in it I have allocated this vSphere cluster. So in this new cloud zone, that compute cluster is not an option. So all unassigned. Even if I was to manually assign, I don't see that as an option. So manually assign, just come through, check the boxes, whatever you want. The third option is to dynamically include based upon tags. So you have to provide a tag to filter for. So if this cloud zone was being set up, say, for my dev systems, and I want to make sure that in this cloud zone, only compute clusters that are to be used by dev environments are included, I could, one, I have to go through on the compute side, which is down here, click on the compute, and then I can tag each one of these compute clusters, or in this case, resource pools. And then in my cloud zone, I choose the option to dynamically include by compute tags, and then I choose the compute tag, and then it filters it. And then once that's set, all I have to do is hit create. So then once I create the cloud zone, I can come back into it, take a look, and sure enough, just that one is there. Otherwise, I can manually select, and if I wanted to say, for instance, in this cloud zone, I'm just going to do dev test and prod, then dev test and prod are there. And that's it. You successfully configured a cloud account and created a scoped cloud zone for your deployments. These two steps are required before you can deploy anything with Aria Automation. They both provide the connection and the control needed to enable you to standardize where and how workloads land. If you found this video helpful, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel for more hands-on guides. If you want even more automation content, including full tutorials, downloadable blueprints and resources for Aria Automation and Aria Orchestrator, please visit cloudautomationguide.com and check out our growing library of step-by-step posts. Thanks again for watching. And in the next video, we'll configure projects to manage access and resource allocations across teams. See you there.